Hello everyone, welcome to our Great British Entrepreneur Awards webinar with our partners Aston Lark. In this webinar, Aston Lark's Client Director Andrew Smith will be looking at the cost of living crisis and how it has impacted smaller businesses. He will review how inflation is impacting businesses' operating costs, how the hard insurance market is biting, the knock-on effect to client confidence, the environmental factors impacting the supply chain, and what you can do to safeguard your business from a loss. There is an opportunity to ask questions during this session. If you have a question you'd like to ask, you can pop this in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer these later on in the session. And with that, I'll pass over to our speaker today, Andrew Smith.
Thank you, Chloe. Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen here. I've got a little presentation which sums everything up. So as Chloe mentioned, my name's Andrew. I'm a client director here at Aston Lark. What we're going to cover today is how the cost of living crisis is impacting on smaller businesses. So let's go on to the first slide. So what we're going to cover is the impact of inflation and what that's having on operating costs, the hard market conditions within the insurance market, within the general insurance market, the challenge of sales efforts from a decline in client confidence, and also a disruption to the supply chain. And then what we'll do is we'll just sum all of that up with what you can do to ensure that your business doesn't suffer a loss from everything that I would have covered in this presentation. So inflation, everyone's seeing it at the moment, both personally and within business. Operating costs are increasing. This is still going up. You just have to look at the cost of fuel, energy costs, electricity, everything that kind of comes into running an office that you would have. Also, the cost of having an office space is going up, and there is more of a view that there is that staff want to have a hybrid working environment, so working from home, which then puts pressure on businesses. The costs of all of these operating costs, utility costs, etc., still have to go on. So what can you do about this? Well, you can review your suppliers. Supplier costs are going up as well, so being able to review any suppliers that you work with to try and get a better deal is a big thing, and then also look at hybrid working and to reduce office space and cut down on the amount of office space that you have. All of these factors then come into being able to save yourself money in the long run. We come on now to disruption to the supply chain. So there's been a lot that's happened over the last couple of years. COVID-19 being the biggest thing. All of these factors are impacting on a sharp rise in costs in materials, shipment costs, transport costs. There's now smaller margins. Everyone is trying to compete for the same sort of business. You then add into this more recently the war in Ukraine. There was a lot of manufacturing facilities, etc., that came out of Ukraine. So a lot of businesses are trying to find an alternative to this, but it all comes into making the whole trading environment a lot more difficult. The other thing as well is Brexit. When you look at if you're an exporting or importing business, there's admins at customs, and also, again, I've touched on this, but to ship and transport goods is becoming such a high cost, and all of these factors are disrupting that supply chain. It's certainly not as easy as it was to trade. When we look at the supply chain and then all of these factors that are impacting on businesses, I wanted to come on to an overview of the insurance market. Now, we've seen this before with higher insurance costs. Unfortunately, hard markets do happen, and it's also a time where clients can't afford them to do that. But we are seeing in the region of about 5 to 15% increases on personal indemnity costs and also other insurances. This will plateau and hopefully go down at some point. But as I say, with all of the factors that I've just explained, the market is really biting at the moment. And the reasons for this, insurers' combined operating ratios are up, so the return on equity is down. There is a significant rate increase across the board. The main reason as well for the hard market within the insurance market is there's an increased reinsurance cost, and a reduced capacity as well. There's a statistic down here which shows that there's three major classes within insurance, which is property, casualty, and financial, reporting 8 straight quarters of global insurance price increases. The last time we saw this was at the beginning of the 2000s, and as I say, it's pretty bleak overview for the insurance market, but we are hoping that this will plateau at some point. Again, the reasons that I've already stated are that the insurers are seeing some losses as well, which all kind of comes into this hard market condition. And again, unfortunately, it's just at a time where everyone's feeling the pinch anyway. Leading on to this, I want to sort of talk about client confidence and the decline in that. So there are a lot of factors at the moment that come into businesses struggling, and this is only getting worse. And I just kind of wanted to see, really, I imagine that there's a lot of businesses and markets that are that won't be untouched by this, and there will be a lot of clients that will be struggling, and it's your confidence in your clients to be able to keep trading, not put their prices up too much, and all whilst you're trying to manage your own business, all the costs that you have rising as well within your own company. Now, how can you protect yourself against everything that I've spoken about earlier? Now, as I say, it's a tough market out there in multiple industries. Businesses really are feeling the pinch, and there are ways that you can help yourself and protect yourself against this. So I work predominantly within the trade credit team of Aston Lark. Now, trade credit insurance is there as a safeguard in case any of your clients go bust owing you money. And what it does is it looks to cover your entire book of turnover over the policy period in the event that your client can't pay or won't pay due to insolvency. Now, there's a lot of factors that come into a credit insurance policy that make it really appealing, especially at the moment, through the minefield of trying to trade with the right clients. So you get information from the insurers that's not publicly available. There's a lot of reporting agencies, etc., out there that would have information on businesses that you want to trade with or that you currently trade with that would probably be outdated. And we've seen this usually within sort of 3 to 6 months of outdated accounts being publicly available. The insurers have up-to-date relevant information on loads and loads of different businesses across different industries. So you can really use that to your in a positive way to be able to trade with the right businesses going forward. The way that it works from an insurance point of view with regards to indemnity is if your client can't pay, and for instance you had a limit in place that you were trading at with that particular client of 100,000, it would pay out at 90%, so you get 90,000 back, which is better, as you can imagine, than losing that money and having to write it off as a bad debt. The funny thing is, I've been speaking about how the commercial insurance market is a hard market at the moment. It's very different with the credit insurance market. So the credit insurers are expecting to pay a lot more out on claims due to the COVID impact. This hasn't happened. That's not to say that it won't. We are expecting it to rise in the next 12, 24 months. But at the moment, the credit insurance market is a very soft market. So premiums are genuinely the lowest I've seen them for probably 3 or 4 years now. So it's definitely the right time to look at it before those insolvencies that are inevitably going to happen start coming in and the insurers start paying out on claims. Just a quote that we thought we'd put in there. So Peter Jones, I'm sure everyone knows him from Dragon's Den. he has a credit insurance policy in place for one of his companies, and he has this fantastic quote here, which shows that it's a great way of trading effectively, and also avoiding that bad loss. And the other thing as well is it really can help you grow as a company and increase your turnover, because you'll be trading with the right clients. And if in the event that any of those clients did go bust, you know you're going to get paid from it as well, which I think is incredibly relevant at the moment. Now, Aston Lark as a business, so we're a leading broker in the UK. We're part of the Howden Group, with multiple different companies all within our group. We're English and Irish owned, by staff shareholders. We are all about customer service, making sure that we can meet any insurance need within any market, and also providing a fantastic service to all of our clients. It's very personable. It's, you know, the insurance market is a bit of a minefield, so it's just making sure that we navigate it successfully for you to find you the best possible terms that you can get, in any insurance need that you might have. How we differ from other brokers. So as I say, we've got a huge portfolio of clients in different industries with different insurance needs. We've got a huge view on client service and risk management, and also being able to pay out on claims effectively and quickly. We've also got fantastic relationships with all the major insurers in all the different insurance sectors as well. So we're always able to get the best terms possible in a real quick time as well. Now, I appreciate I've just looked at the time. I appreciate I've gone through this quite quickly, but I wanted to leave some time for some Q&A at the end as well, just because I imagine there might be some questions. I'd also be interested to know how everyone is feeling the pinch at the moment with the supply chain issues, inflation, etc., that we're all experiencing. So I hope that I've summed that up quite nicely, and I'd like to bring Chloe back in for any questions. I've noticed there's a couple here in the chat bar.
Yes, we have a question from Christian that says, how long do you expect this run to last for? With a rough idea, I think it would be easier to decide on whether to increase prices or to take a hit and keep the customers happy.
It's one of those questions, isn't it? It's difficult to know how long this is going to go on for. I think I'd like to think we've seen probably the worst of it with everything that has happened over the last 2 or 3 years. But again, the economy is going to take a massive hit from this, and I think it will take some time. From an insurance perspective, the hard market, I can imagine, would probably start getting a bit more positive within the next year or two. We'll hopefully start seeing some prices decrease. But again, you know, we're always out there to try and speak with the insurers to get the lowest terms that we possibly can. So yeah, just reading the last bit of Christian's comment there. I'd say it's difficult. I mean, I think a lot of businesses are increasing their prices. I think it's something that you do have to do. You know, you've got to balance out the fact that your business is taking a hit from higher operating costs. So being able to increase your prices to make up for that, I think is justified. You know, there's a lot of businesses that are doing that. I mentioned as well earlier with the supply chain issues is, if your suppliers are putting up prices, go and look elsewhere and just see if you can get a lower price. And if you can't, then, you know, stick with that supplier that you've got. But if you can, then you can go back to your existing supplier and say, look, I found a cheaper deal elsewhere, and they'll probably match it. I was speaking to someone the other day, actually, that's an operations director for a cleaning company, and he said that he did that and managed to get his existing supplier on a lower price because he shopped around. So I think that's another way that you can really use to get lower prices.
We've had a question come in from Emily on Facebook. I'm just going to find it for you. It says, what is your top tip for how small businesses can budget?
Top tip for how you can budget. again, from what I've just said there, I think, look at the supply chain, your suppliers, make sure that you can get the lowest price that's possible there. There will be multiple suppliers in the market that you can use, so make sure that you shop around. From a staff point of view, I know that this is another factor at the moment that's really coming into play is recruitment. Recruitment's a huge issue at the moment. There's a lot of staff that might be moving on from certain businesses because they're getting a better salary or better benefits elsewhere. But I think that if you can retain staff from a good salary, but also benefits that could be involved with that as well to keep them, and also a good working culture, I think that really helps. The other thing as well is hybrid working. I think's worked very well over the last 2 years. I think there's a lot of businesses that have thrived from that. And being able to do that without having to pay out on office space would help. That would definitely lower the cost, and that is a big cost. And then from an insurance point of view as well, is using a broker that can shop around and find you the lowest premiums for your commercial insurances. Commercial insurance is tough at the moment. It is expensive, so just making sure that you're finding the best deal there would really cut costs as well.
Just had one in from Sean saying, regarding the last question asked, so she said your accountant should be able to provide you with support for business and personal budgeting tools as well. Is there anything you'd like to touch upon there, Andrew?
Yeah, I agree. I think the accountants are fantastic at that. They are a massive support network for a lot of businesses. Whether that's small or large businesses. And it is a great way of smaller businesses using an accountant to be able to use these budgeting tools and make sure they're trading effectively. Really, no, I completely agree. We work with a lot of accountants. I mean, from a credit insurance point of view, we work with a lot of accountants to promote credit insurance because an accountant can advise and have all these budgeting tools, but if their client loses money, it's really difficult to get that back. So having a credit insurance policy in place alongside that, that an accountant can promote, means that their client won't lose any money.
I'm not sure if we've had any more questions in at the moment, so if anyone does have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Was there anything else, Andrew, that you'd like to cover, just while we see if there's any more questions that come on through?
No, I think I've covered everything. Referrals, I've just seen that coming from Sean. Do you offer referral schemes? Yes, yeah, we do. We can talk about that, absolutely. We've got a fantastic one internally, and we do have a lot of referral partners out there that we've got certain schemes in place for. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, that's something we can talk about at another time. It's one of those that is different for each business.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I've included Andrew's email address in the chat function, so if anybody wishes to get in touch with Andrew at Aston Lark, then you can do so there. And if any other questions come on through, we will pop them through to Andrew. But that is everything, unless there was anything else, Andrew, from you.
No, that's all. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's time.
Fabulous. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your expertise and knowledge. The session has been recorded and will be sent out to all attendees later on today. And have a great day, everybody.